2 months after my 17th birthday, I landed my first job. I was thrilled. But when I shared the news with my parents, their immediate response was, "Who's going to watch the kids now?" I wasn't surprised, knowing them as I did, so I shot back, "And who's going to cover my college tuition?" I thought that would catch them off guard, especially since they'd always insisted I'd have to pay for college myself. Instead, they burst into laughter, as if I'd told a hilarious joke. "You're a girl," they said, "and girls should be happy to care for children, whether they're paid or not." In my case, it was always unpaid. My father added his own bit of wisdom. "You can't just be selfish and abandon your family, Sarah. Do you know how much a babysitter for 4 kids costs?" I tried to reason with them, offering to contribute some of my earnings to help with the kids, but they dismissed it. To them, my refusal to dedicate my life to their children meant I deserved to be thrown out. They told me to pack up and leave. I rolled my eyes, hiding the sting, and rushed upstairs. For the first time in years, I let the pain hit me. The betrayal, the heartbreak, the realization that I'd never have parents who truly loved me. Tears streamed down my face as I shoved clothes into a backpack. 10 minutes later, they shouted for me to hurry, and we drove to my cousin Lisa's place. On the way, they tried to guilt me into staying. My dad mentioned how much my siblings adored me, how I was the only one who could soothe them. It was clumsy manipulation, and yet I started doubting myself. Was I being selfish? My mom even cried, not because she'd miss me, but because she dreaded paying for childcare. When we reached Lisa's, they dropped me off without a goodbye, and the guilt gnawed at me. But Lisa's warm smile, so genuine and kind, undid me. I collapsed into sobs the moment we stepped inside. Lisa tried to comfort me, but her first words were, "Sweetheart, why not just help your parents a bit?" That set me off. "Help?" I snapped. "I've given up friends, let my grades slip, sacrificed everything to raise their kids." Her face registered shock. "Your parents said you were being lazy, refusing to pitch in when you had nothing else to do." Fresh tears fell as I told her the truth, and she held me, promising I was safe with her. She wasn't angry, at least not visibly. But later that day, I learned she was furious. After crying myself to sleep, I woke to Lisa shouting in the next room. It was unlike her quiet nature, and I knew she was confronting my parents. Her rage warmed my heart. No one had ever defended me like that. Pretending to sleep, I overheard her muttering to herself. Apparently, my parents had a replacement babysitter lined up all along. Kicking me out was just a way to get rid of me for good. Lisa sighed, saying I deserved better, and went to bed. That's when it clicked. She was right. I deserved better. And if I couldn't have better parents, I'd at least make them regret their actions. I crafted a plan. Every family has that one gossip-loving relative, and ours was Aunt Margaret. I sent her a 1,400-word message spilling every detail of my parents' behavior. Terrified, I shut off my phone. The next morning, I braced myself and turned it back on. My notifications exploded, not just from Aunt Margaret, but from nearly every family member. She'd forwarded my message to the family group chat without hesitation. As I scrolled, my heart raced. Some defended my parents, calling me a dramatic teen, but many supported me. Uncle David wrote a scathing post about how ashamed he was of his brother, my dad. Grandma Ruth said she was heartbroken, insisting she'd raised her kids better. Lisa joined me on the guest bed, her phone in hand, and laughed. Margaret thrives on this chaos, but maybe it's good everyone knows. I wasn't so sure. It felt validating, but I feared my parents' wrath. I was still in high school, had a job but no permanent home, and missed my siblings terribly. Then my phone rang. My dad. Panic surged, but I answered, steeling myself. His voice boomed so loudly I held the phone away. "What do you think you're doing?" he roared, accusing me of humiliating them. Lisa's eyes widened as she overheard. He said I was dead to him, that I could never come home. Tears welled up, but I managed. "I didn't mean for Margaret to share it." He called me ungrateful, but my mom grabbed the phone. Her tone was icy. "You've made your choice, Sarah. Don't expect any help from us, not for college, not for your phone, nothing." My stomach sank. I hadn't considered things like my phone plan, still under their name, or college costs. "What about my stuff?" I asked weakly. "You took what you needed," she said. "Anything left gets donated by Sunday." The call ended, and I sat in shock. Lisa hugged me. "Don't worry about your things. We'll get them tomorrow while they're at work." The next day, she took off work, and we went to my parents' house. My key still worked, so we slipped in quietly. The silence felt eerie, like I was trespassing. I grabbed books, clothes, my laptop, and photos of my siblings. Lisa was in my parents' office, emerging with a folder. She brushed off my questions, saying she'd explain later. Back at her place, She revealed the folder held my birth certificate, social security card, and other vital documents. She'd also taken their emergency credit card. "They owe you for years of free babysitting," she said. I protested. Using the card felt like theft. But she insisted it was only for essentials. With just $50 to my name and my first paycheck weeks away, I reluctantly agreed. We spent $200 on work clothes, a prepaid phone, and toiletries. Guilt lingered, though Lisa said it was a fraction of what a babysitter would have cost them. My first shift at the Bean Counter coffee shop was nerve-wracking but exciting. The manager, Alex, was patient despite my fumbled orders and struggles with the espresso machine. After work, I found 3 missed calls from an unknown number. Hesitant, I called back, fearing it was my parents. It was my sister Lily, 10, using my brother's tablet. She sobbed, asking why I left and when I'd return. My heart broke. I explained I had to live near work but loved her and my siblings. She didn't fully understand but made me promise to visit soon. I agreed, unsure how I'd manage. That night, Lisa ordered pizza and put on silly movies to cheer me up. It helped, but I couldn't stop thinking about my siblings. A week later, Aunt Margaret invited me to a Sunday dinner with supportive relatives, including my grandparents. Lisa encouraged me to go, so I did. My grandmother's tearful hug was exactly what I needed. The dinner was warm, with no pressure to discuss my parents. My grandfather gave me $500, insisting it was to help me start fresh. I used it to get my own phone plan and open a bank account. 2 weeks later, Lisa dropped a bombshell. My mom had called about charges on their credit card, accusing us of theft and threatening legal action. They also wanted me back home. "Why?" I asked, stunned. "Their new babysitter quit," Lisa said grimly. 4 kids are too much for most people." I laughed bitterly. They didn't miss me, just my free labor. "I'm not going back," I said. "I'll repay the card, but I'm done being their servant." Lisa looked relieved but warned me about their talk of small claims court. The next day at school, I was a wreck, imagining police arresting me. My friend Mia noticed and pulled me aside. I spilled everything. She was appalled, saying my parents' actions were neglect. Her mom, a lawyer, offered to help. After school, I met Mrs. Carter, who listened intently. She explained that my parents had a legal duty to support me until 18 and couldn't just evict me. Options included emancipation, reporting them to CPS, or having a relative seek temporary guardianship. Emancipation felt overwhelming, and CPS could harm my siblings. Guardianship seemed best, but I hesitated to involve more people. That day, my brother Noah texted from my dad's old phone saying the house was chaotic without me. My heart ached. Back at Lisa's, my grandparents were waiting. They proposed I live with them until graduation so I could focus on school instead of work. They'd already cleared it with my parents, who agreed if I visited my siblings weekly. It wasn't ideal, but better than daily babysitting. I moved into their cozy spare room that weekend, sleeping soundly for the first time in ages. My first visit to my parents was tense. My siblings mobbed me with hugs, but my parents were distant. My mom later cornered me, sneering, "Too good to live here, but happy to take handouts from your grandparents?" I stayed calm, saying, "I'm just trying to graduate without being homeless." She scoffed, calling me dramatic. She also demanded $500 for the card. I nodded, not arguing, and left with Lisa. My grandmother later hinted that my parents' attitude might stem from guilt, not just anger. Life with my grandparents was stable. I worked fewer shifts, and my grades improved. My grandfather paid off the credit card, refusing repayment. A month later, my English teacher, Ms. Lopez, praised an essay I wrote about family struggles, suggesting I apply for scholarships. She offered to help, sparking hope for college. My grandparents supported me, taking me on campus tours. My parents, predictably, disapproved. During a visit, my dad mocked college as a waste, saying I should save for an apartment instead of leeching off my grandparents. I ignored him, which only made him grumble more. Scholarship applications consumed my time, but in April, I got into City University with a partial scholarship. It wasn't enough, so I kept applying. That week, my mom unexpectedly asked about my applications, even mentioning Aunt Margaret's positive experience at City. It was the closest she'd come to support. 2 weeks later, I became a finalist for a National Merit Scholarship, full tuition for 4 years at any state university. I was overjoyed. My grandparents celebrated, and even Megan joined us. The finalist interview was daunting, but I prepared rigorously, discussing my goal to become a child therapist, inspired by my own experiences. Waiting for results was agonizing. Meanwhile, my mom grew more civil during visits, and my siblings' calls kept me grounded. One rainy afternoon, the email arrived. I'd won the scholarship. Tears of relief flowed as my grandparents, Lisa, Mia, and Ms. Lopez, celebrated with me. I called my parents, unsure of their reaction. My mom said, "I guess your hard work paid off," adding softly, The kids will miss you. We all will. It was the closest she'd come to admitting they cared. By May, life felt brighter. Visits with my parents grew less strained, and one day, my mom suggested hosting a graduation party. I was stunned. Why? I asked. Because we're proud of you, she said, citing my scholarship and college plans. My dad confirmed it, mentioning family like my grandparents and Lisa. Aunt Margaret's influence, I learned, had prompted their change. Skeptical but hopeful, I agreed. Graduation was a whirlwind of joy. My family cheered as I crossed the stage, and the party was surprisingly pleasant. My parents gave me a house key, saying I'd always have a home. They apologized for exploiting me and kicking me out, admitting they'd hired a new babysitter. I was floored. My grandmother later revealed they'd offered to help with college costs, showing real change. That night, alone with my parents, we talked awkwardly but honestly. They offered to let me move back for the summer. I considered it, not out of obligation, but choice. I'll think about it, I said, citing plans with my grandparents. As Lisa drove me back, I held the key, realizing I could return home on my terms. I'd gone from unpaid nanny to scholarship winner, discovering my strength and supporters along the way. My parents weren't perfect, but they were trying. And for now, that was enough.